You're listening to Time to Talk. Well, my next guest is a musical giant in his own right, and so tremendously talented that it's actually bloody ridiculous. Steve Anderson is responsible for so many highlights in British music, and of course, famously collaborates with our favourite, Kylie. Think about this. Steve has written so many essential Kylie tracks, including Confide in Me, the devastatingly under-promoted Butterfly, Cowboy Style, Harmony, the enchanting Bittersweet Goodbye, Did It Again, and the autobiographical Flower. And they're just a few of the tracks that he's written or co-written. He's produced the Abbey Road sessions and Kylie Christmas. He's also contributed to so many of her other albums. And of course, he's been the musical director of just about all of our favourite Kylie tours. The incredibly gifted Stephen Anderson. Welcome, Steve.
Well, that's very nice. That's incredibly kind selection
All
of
true.
information that you gave there. I'm flattered. Thank you so much.
That's the work you've done. And I can't tell you how much joy that you have brought into people's lives. And I'm not sure if all fans know that you're right behind so much of Kylie's work and other artists' work as well. But yeah, it's I'm just so grateful to say thank you to you because honestly, I can't even put into words the joy that you've brought into my life. Steve, you've had an incredible career. Is it true that you've worked with the music of people like Britney, Janet, Michael, Susan Boyle, and bless her, Holly Valance?
I have with all of those people. Yeah, I mean, some with and some sort of on, so to speak. So I mean, my
Yeah,
the Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson stuff was in my sort of origins of when I was a remixer, and I used to be in a remix team, production team called Brothers in Rhythm, and we did a lot of dance
hail,
mixes.
hail.
Yeah, so with Dave
Mm,
Seaman, and
yeah.
we were very lucky that we got quite, I suppose, big quite quickly, and we were entrusted with incredible multi tracks from people like Michael Jackson and Janet and David Bowie and various people, and so those were those, and then the other people, some of the other people, Britney, I wrote a song for called "Breathe on Me," which was on the In the Zone record, and we did a few other things together as well. Yeah, all those people. Susan, we made 5 records with. Uh, Holly, I did a couple of tracks on her album. We got on so well. She's a little firecracker. I love her.
You
Uh,
love your Australians, don't you, Steve?
I I love the country. I was very lucky. My first time I ever was ever my first ever visit to Australia was we did Kylie did the first Mardi Gras that I was involved with, which was the one where she sang "Better the Devil You Know," and there was a cast of
Oh,
thousands on the stage.
iconic. Yep, yep.
So if you can imagine, my introduction to your country was literally landing and then going straight to rehearsals for Mardi Gras, and then the next day it was the party. Um, but no, I mean, yeah, I mean, Australia has such an incredible amount of talent. You have an incredible work ethic. Every professional I've ever worked with in your country, on everything from Kylie shows to the Olympics to everything, is, I adore the country, but particularly Melbourne, which I've kind of lived in a fair bit over the last, sort of 15 years on and off. So yeah, I do adore the country, and you produce incredible artists.
Well, you've got very good taste. And just when I thought I couldn't respect you anymore, I
Oh,
read that you have given high praise to a remix that I rate as my number one favorite remix of all time. My God, I was obsessed with this as a lad. You have no idea. My parents must have gone mad. The CNC remix of Michael Jackson's Black or White.
well, we are going to get on so well because you've mentioned the magic words. Um, so my hero and the person, pretty much my mentor, even though we didn't really meet, is David Cole, who was an Inclavillas and Cole, who's a piano player. For people that don't know, they did remixes. I know they had the CNC Music Factory, but they also produced and wrote a lot of Mariah Carey's Emotions album. And
Wow.
David was a church keyboard player, and he came from that. And if you listen to Brothers in Rhythm, mostly in the heyday of Brothers in Rhythm, I was just trying to do my best David impersonation the whole way through it. I
I can
couldn't.
hear the overlap. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, 100%. I mean, actually, if you listen to the end of the Big Brothers mix of Confide in Me, it goes
Yes.
through about 5 different sections, and then the last thing we
Yes.
kind of turn it into a dance track, and that's just
Yes.
me.
I'm
Just
so glad you confirm it, Steve, because when I heard that, like I'm talking about back in the day when it was released in
oh
'94, that
yeah,
remix. I went, hang on a second. I
yeah,
reckon that they've taken not samples or anything, but I could just hear the inspiration
inspiration. Yeah,
from some of it.
it's
Yeah, yeah,
David. I
yeah.
would, I anything that I could do to praise and be influenced by David, because he
Oh,
just, I adored him. In actual fact, it was really weird that Dave Seaman and I, as part of Brothers in Rhythm, we were producers, but also we used to write for a magazine called Mix Mag, and we used to have a weekly thing. And
ah,
the week sadly David died, I actually had to write his obituary in the Mix Mag, and it was one of the most important bits of writing I've ever had to do, because it was so personal. So, but that remix, yeah, if anyone hasn't heard it, just go and dig it out. It's the CNC, the full mix of black and white. It's unbelievable.
it really is. Like I loved the song. I loved Dangerous, and I had it on repeat on a loop. And um, when I heard that remix, though, because I caught onto it later than most people, I couldn't afford to go and buy every single and all of that
Yeah,
sort of
of
stuff. I just
course.
couldn't. But when I went and got that, it just was like it took remixing to a whole new land for me. I didn't realize that you could actually recreate a song rather than just remix the song. Oh, amazing. People have to go and listen to it. So, Steve, I'm hoping that you'll indulge me a little here. Take us back to 1994. I just want to put you in the zone a bit. Kylie fans like me, we're restless. Okay, we're a bit worried. Greatest hits. It's a couple of years old. We all know that she's ended things with PWL. She's even had a few polite parting shots about being a brightly packaged product. And it's like, oh, okay. She's signed with this weird underground label called Deconstruction, which me from Sydney, like, what's that? It sounds odd. I don't know. What is this deconstruction thing? And we're told to expect the unexpected, which causes us some alarm because we've been loving the progression from album 1 through to Let's Get to It. There was a massive progression already. Now, at this stage, you've already gifted Kylie and her fans with this unbelievable remix of Finer Feelings and the additional extended mix, by the way, which is sublime. Just, no words. How did you enter into the equation at this point in 1994?
Um, it, this is one of these things that sounds like it's made up, but it genuinely isn't. We were chosen to remix Finer Feelings, which was a huge privilege for us, because it was rare for PWL and Stock Aitken and Waterman tracks to be given to be outside of the Stock Aitken and Waterman studios. So we loved it, and I remember just listening to her vocal on it and just being absolutely astounded about just how her raw vocal just sounded so fantastic. And But the truth of it is that Deconstruction were a little label. They had one of their biggest hits before then was Ride on Time by Black Box, the kind of
Love it.
sampling track from the 90s. They had a few other people, and they were our friends, because David and I, as part of Brothers in Rhythm, were very much part of that UK club scene. So, the guys that owned Deconstruction were at the Hacienda when we were at the Hacienda, and they were friends of ours. They just were these two northern club guys, and they had a record label that was sort of housed inside BMG Records, and they could just do they just let them do what they want, because I think BMG didn't really understand what was going on with them. They just let them get on with it. So when we found that they'd signed them, my partner David literally picked up the phone, phoned Keith Blackhurst, who owned Deconstruction, and said, "We love Kylie. Is there any chance that we could try a session?" And he said, "Absolutely. I'll have her with you next week." So then we went into
Wow.
complete blind panic, thinking, "Oh my God, this thing that we really want," because we were huge. I mean, first and foremost, I think most people know this about me, is regardless of what I've done, I'm a massive Kylie fan. I always was, I always will be. I think she's an incredible artist. So we were just then perplexed and felt, well, we've got to have something for her. So we literally went into the studio, put together something up tempo because we thought, well, that's what they're going to want because it's deconstruction, and it wasn't very good. And then David had a little pad, and he always used to write lyrics on it and little scribble things. And one of the things he scribbled down was the words "Confide in me," and I said, "Oh, I really like that. That's a really cool thing." And I was working on a track that had a kind of breakbeat and some strings, and we just threw this demo together just so that when she came there, we could say, "Here's an idea we've got. By the way, it's completely off brand. We don't think it's something you've ever done before, and we're not sure it's what people want." And she recorded the demo that day, and that was the first day that we met, really.
Is it true she did it in one take? That can't be true.
Yeah.
Come on.
It was a weird little studio. We didn't even have a vocal booth. We had to tie line it, so we had to have her in another studio on our own, so we couldn't see her. We could just hear the vocals. And that's the demo pretty much. Yeah.
So vocally, this was unlike, clearly, anything she's ever done before. It's easy now. Fans who came along in Fever, you got to listen up to this. It's really easy to say, yeah, of course she could pull this song off. But back then, not even some of her fans could believe she would be capable of singing in that particular way, in those keys, with such operatic precision. I'm curious, you wrote the song, okay, and that's a marvel in itself, but whose choice was it to take the track and actually set it in that pitch, like, and say to Kylie, I want you to sing it this way? Like, whose choice was that?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we didn't really think about it. I think we just played it to her and said, this is kind of what it is. And I kind of knew that. I mean, I don't know if, like, if anybody wants to try singing the original key of Better the Devil You Know, it's high. So I knew that, there was I knew that she had the chops, basically. I knew that it was possible, but obviously we didn't know that she could do what she could do. But, you're talking about a girl that's been working from a very young age and studies hard and takes her job seriously. And it actually came
Steve,
reasonably easy to her.
You're sitting there and you can't see her because of the way you just described the setup. When you hear, I'm assuming you can't see her, but you can hear the vocals coming. When you hear her soaring to those, I mean, even you, who clearly you've had faith in her vocals right from the start, and that I admire greatly of you. You could pick a talent. But do you remember? Do you recall what you were thinking or what went through your body and your mind as you heard her singing this song for the first time?
I mean, just total goosebumps, really, because
yeah.
I think the other thing about Confide in Me is we'd only written the kind of Confide in Me bit. We didn't, all the stuff at the end was not us. That's all her. We just said, she just knew that there was a lot of choruses at the end and she couldn't just keep singing the same, like, 3 notes. So she just, she's really reactive. I always find this with her. If she hears something or she's in a moment, she's very reactive in how she sings and lets the music take over her. So she just reacted to what she was hearing, and that's what she did. So yeah, it was obviously, for us, it's the first time that we'd recorded her, and I think probably what my exact thought would be, what a gift, what an absolute gift to have an artist like that, and actually thereby which every artist I work with after that would be judged.
I'm in awe listening to it. I'm just in awe. Like, you're saying to me that those last where she's repeating "Confide in Me," she's just going with the flow. She's taking that.
Yeah. Wow. Her natural instinct is incredible. I cannot say it highly enough. It is. She just has, I say this thing, like, kind of pearls just kind of drop from her mouth sometimes, and she just instinctively knows the right thing to do, and that's come across. That's the first thing I've done. That's, sort of all these years later, it's still the same. She makes impeccable choices, and sometimes doesn't know that she's doing it, but it's extraordinary.
It is extraordinary. And it's so clear, as I said, that you had faith in her vocals right from the start. You've given her Confide in Me, Dangerous Game from the same album where she just soars. I mean, that is an incredible track as well. Why could you see all this vocal talent as a very talented musician yourself when the rest of the world back in those days, they couldn't see that? Kylie couldn't sing according to everyone. Why could you see that she did have the chops?
I think that was down to, I think there was a lot of unfairness surrounding Stock Aitken and Waterman in general. And I
Yes,
think I'd like
yes.
to think that that has been slightly helped when people have gone back and listened to it. I think because the three guys were just churning out all of these songs as quickly as possible, it was seen as being a bit cheap, when in actual fact they were incredibly constructed and well put together songs that stand the test of time. And not only stand the test of time, but also when you strip it back, like for instance when we did Abbey Road and we did things like Never Too Late with just piano vocal, the constructs are great. And I just think that she kind of potentially, because she came from a soap and because she was Stock Aitken and Waterman, I guess that's where people just
Yeah.
didn't listen. And it was there. If you listen to If You Were With Me Now, there's, and various songs from some of those albums, there's some beautiful vocal performances on there.
Yeah,
But I
Telltale
think people
Signs.
just were yeah, people were just caught up with the whole thing of her being, a Stock Aitken and Waterman girl.
And I suppose it didn't help that at the time it was the thing that when you perform the song, you had to mime it on TV and stuff like that. Maybe that all played into it. Hey, Steve, is Kylie confident in her own vocal ability?
Yeah, I think she loves a challenge,
Yeah.
and yeah, and I think she's, technically she's definitely the best singer I've ever worked with, and she does what's really interesting. I always find is that, and someone else said this recently as well. It's that perfect pop sound. It's the tone is great, the right amount of brightness, and also I always feel with someone like her, I feel that being an actress can really help
Mm.
with being a singer, because my key thing, my number one thing as a producer of vocals is believability. So
Yes.
I go believability over technicality every single time, because I like people to feel something when they listen. And there is a difference between someone singing a song and someone meaning a song. And I think that's the thing that she absolutely encapsulates.
Doesn't she ever believe when she sings? I don't know if she's acting or not, but it feels to me like she's feeling it right down to the
Oh
core. It's
yeah, I mean,
amazing.
when I say the acting thing, it's basically getting in touch with the emotion that she needs to find to be able to deliver the song to the best it can be.
By the way, Steve, what the devil is Confide in Me about? I've listened to it for however many years now, however many decades, and you have no idea how many times. I bet probably even more than you. And I know that's a challenge, but I reckon I probably have. I mean, it sounds like she's grooming some kind of poor soul to get secrets for the KGB or something. What's the song about? What is it?
No, I think it's about. I think it.
You think it's about? You wrote the song.
Everyone's got, everyone's got their own interpretation of it. I always felt it was about some gaining someone's trust. So someone that
Mm.
had a lot of problems, and just literally saying to someone that you can talk to me about stuff. It's, just let me, unburden yourself and you'll be safe. That's what I always felt it was about.
Oh, that's lovely.
So
Actually,
not
that's a
so much
much more lovely
KGB.
interpretation.
I'm up for everyone's interpretation. So songs are available for anyone's interpretation.
Oh, that's so funny. I've always thought Kylie's luring someone in, and actually it's a lot more beautiful than
It's a
that.
quite a beautiful love song, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the Russian strings probably don't help. That might have pushed you in that direction.
There are Russian strings. See, the conspiracy. I knew it was
That's
there.
the
I knew
one.
it was there.
Yeah.
Kylie Minogue 94. It was a huge turning point for her. I'm really curious to know, what did you make of the rest of the album, Steve? Did the rest of that work live up to Confide in Me, which is heavenly?
I mean, I loved, I loved it. It was such a great experience, and also to be able to get to do. I mean, obviously, I'm over my career. I've been very heavily linked to strings and orchestras, and I've been very lucky to do that. So, being able to work with Will Malone, who arranged Unfinished Sympathy, and on things like Automatic Love,
Mm,
was
mm.
incredible. I loved some of the other songs. I love Put Yourself in My Place, that Jimmy Harry did. There's some really, really great stuff. It felt like a perfect um, way to just say that she's grown up and she's moved into other things. I mean, there are a couple of songs that I adored that I wish had gone on the record. There's a song called Love Is Waiting, which was on a
I love it.
B-sides album or something afterwards,
Too
which was a
boppy
big
though, right?
up-tempo disco song. The vocal on it is unbelievable. So I wish that had made it. But other than that, it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, and I heard the Pet Shop Boys were quite surprised by what happened to their track as well, Falling.
Yeah, they kind of that was changed a bit. I remember hearing the original demo of Falling, and I thought that might be how it would sound. But I think Deacon had this thing about everything needed to have a bit of a rawer club edge, which is why they kind of went that way with those guys to produce it.
I love it though. I love the fact that the whole album, the choices that they made around tracks like Falling and even Love Is Waiting, which I love as well. They've done it for a reason, so that the whole thing is cohesive, and it was so mature for the time. Looking back, I remember feeling like I was a grown up listening to it, and I was only whatever 16, 17,
Yeah,
something
and
like that.
and
Great album.
and and also Deacon were just like they were kings of the world then. So we got to do everything. We got to do remake all the singles as completely different album remix versions, which we'd spend 3 weeks at Trevor Horn's studio, and we'd do things like the Prefab Sprout "If You Don't Love Me" cover as just a B-side, and it's such a
Love it.
different world to the way records are made and promoted these days. So we were very lucky that we had the support system that we did from them as well.
That album was a risk. I know, again, looking back, it's so easy to say it was just a natural progression, but I was there at the time. This was a risk because she was, walking away from a hit factory and from such incredible success. Steve, does Kylie take enough risks these days?
Oh, absolutely. I think, the most recent thing she did was release an album with a country tinge. I
Yeah,
mean, the part of her to live is to change. So I think always there's you can it's one artist you can never ever accuse of standing still.
there's always an evolution, isn't there? But
Hundred
how do
percent.
you how do you take an artist like Kylie, who's accomplished so much, and how do you work at this stage of her career to prevent her from becoming a heritage act?
I mean, that is much more for. I mean, I'm not involved in kind of the new records really. I kind of get involved in the Christmas things and stuff like that with things like moving forward. I mean, I can talk about it from a show point of view is in the fact that we wanted, for instance, with Golden the tour, we wanted it to feel very very different and have a narrative running through it. And her director Rob Sinclair was and her had an incredible vision for it. So just not repeating yourself really, just and also having,
Sure.
I think most importantly, having material that is as strong, if not stronger, as the material you've already had. So if you're doing a show and there's still, your big songs are still from 20 years ago, I think that makes it difficult. But I mean, if the writing, and whether that's All the Lovers or whether that's Dancing or whether that's Say Something even, um, the writing and the product has continually been superb. I think where the heritage thing is when people get to doing sort of maybe not releasing such great material in their later career, and that means that they kind of fall back into it. But I think her quality control is impeccable, so I feel that's how you stay relevant.
And the faith that I have is that Kylie doesn't want to become the Heritage Act. She's stated that herself, and she's constantly seeking new work and relying on that new work, which is fantastic. And as a fan, that keeps me inspired too. You produced Kylie Christmas, Abbey Road sessions. Have you and Kylie ever considered writing and producing like an entire album together? Maybe like a really modern, smooth, jazzy, smoky KM 94 the second or something along those lines?
Um, I'm not sure that would be. I'm not sure that would be. That sounds like fun, but I'm not sure it'd be right. I mean, um, we did a really lovely bunch of sessions for the film when the film White
White
Diamonds. We
Diamond. That's what I'm
recorded.
talking about. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we recorded about 7 or 8 songs, which were, and so some of them are in the film. There's a beautiful version of a song that was made famous by Blossom Dearie called "You Are There," which is in the film, which is cut to the footage of her and Dan on stage singing "Kids." There's so many. I think we recorded about 8 or 9 songs for that, and down at Real World where we made Princess and everything like that. And yeah, she sounds great on that stuff. So
They're in the vault though, Steve. They're in the vault.
I know, but
Release
the
them.
thing is, as well, I'm sure you know, and I have this from from Britney fans as well is that I don't control the vault.
Oh,
So it's record companies that control the vault.
well, dang. I tried, guys. I tried.
And
Because ever
listen, I
since we've
love
heard
it.
a few of.
Nothing more than a White Diamond soundtrack to come out, but
Uh,
it's not mine. So
it'll be beautiful. It sounds like you and Kylie have a kind of implicit trust in one another.
um, I think so. Yeah, I think we've known each other for a long time now, and she's incredibly inspiring. I've always described her as being the best muse that any creative could ever have, and whether that's someone like me or whether it's a designer or whether it's a director or anything, she gives off such an incredible energy and makes people feel better than they are, and also inspires them to be better than they are. So from that side from a professional side it is, and from just a friend side, we've just been around each other for so long now that it is almost sort of everything becomes second nature. So but never so much to get complacent, because it's always important that I still want to do stuff that will make her smile and make her go, oh wow, that's I wasn't expecting that. It's important to kind of, there's nothing better than getting that kind of giggle from her when she's into something.
Oh, I love that. So you still challenge and push each other and make each other as creative as
Oh, yeah.
possible. That's fantastic.
No, exactly. You can't. I mean, you're talking about last year. We had a whole summer. We had a whole golden tour that was been ready to go for Glastonbury, and she said, "No, we're going to do something brand new from scratch," and we just did an entire new show purely for Glastonbury. That Glastonbury moment lives forever. You only get one chance to be a legend on the legend stage, and she delivered it. So
How
it's important.
awesome was it? Amazing.
Yeah, no, it was. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I mean, we didn't really know how it was going to be, and it was Glastonbury's tough because it's called a plug and play show, so you literally don't get any rehearsal. You just go on. So we just rehearsed it as much as we could, and it was a gorgeous day. We had the biggest crowd in the field. I think the biggest crowd ever, biggest audience ever on British TV, and she just owned it. I couldn't have been more proud.
Phenomenal. Yeah, she is, and she truly deserves that legend stage. I noticed you recently said that producing Kylie Christmas was the most fun you've ever had in a studio.
Yes.
She must be a lot of fun there, Steve, she and her team.
I mean, if anybody looks at the videos that we made for that thing, I mean, the
Yeah.
entire live room was transformed into a Christmas grotto. She even had her own sleigh. There were 5 Christmas trees. There was toy soldiers. There was snow, and we were at the studio was called Angel, not made up. It genuinely was called Angel, and we were in there for 2 weeks recording it all live. That whole album is live. It's orchestras, brass band. We did duets with Frank Sinatra. I mean, honestly, just everybody that was involved in it. You ask any of them, they will all, from a studio performance side, it was hard work because it was a lot to do, but God, it was fun.
When you were a little boy, you must have dreamt of doing stuff like that, live bands in the studio and plenty of time to actually do the work. Frank Sinatra. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Christmas allows it. Sometimes it's not called for and it's not as easy. But when you are doing those songs, yeah, you just need it. You just need that whole thing, and all the videos that got put up. I mean, you can just see how much fun we're having. It's just joy, pure joy. I mean, the idea of her doing Christmas was always going to be joyful, but yeah, it's the reaction to it, and also the reaction to the shows that she did at the Albert Hall it's just such a warm atmosphere, and everyone just you just feel it. It was wonderful.
And some credit for the original songs on those Christmas albums too, the two versions of it. Those original Christmas tunes, because it's not easy to write a Christmas track. There's some brilliant original material on those albums as well.
Oh, well, thanks so much. I mean, that is one of the ones that I did get involved in the writing. I don't write as much these days because it's kind of less. I've become less inspired, but obviously Christmas was, and um, the first song we wrote for that was in the height. It was in the hottest day of the year in Brighton with Biff Stannard and Ash House, and that was 100 degrees because she wanted to write a song about what it's like to have Christmas in Australia. So where it would be potentially 100 degrees. And then and then the other stuff like Christmas Isn't Christmas, written with Karen Paul, it just came really natural. It's like we've always wanted to write Christmas songs, so the moment we were allowed to, they just happened very quickly.
Oh, and they're so fun. I need you to know that in this family at least, and I'm sure thousands of families around the world, it comes out every Christmas now, and now
Oh,
it is Christmas. And those original tracks are just as popular as some of the more classics that she does on there. So well done
thank you.
again.
I'm so pleased about that. I'm so proud of that record. So I'm pleased that it's becoming a festive staple of a family. That's wonderful.
And this year, especially, we need it more than ever. I'm so looking for. I reckon Christmas is probably going to start in October for this family over here at the end of 2020, which has been a horror for most people. I've got to ask on tours, Steve. Obviously, you're hugely connected to Kylie's tours. Mixing those songs, I'm making an assumption here. Is it hard to reimagine some of those tracks that you know so well and have to reimagine them time and time and time again? Where do you even start recreating a song like Slow or Bed of a Devil You Know or whatever?
With the tours, I'm become most of my inspiration becomes from the creative and the visual. So you'll find that a lot of the time when a tour comes together, there will be a look and a feel and an idea of what's going to happen, what's going to be on stage. So, for instance, if you take something like Aphrodite with
Yeah,
Slow, I
yeah,
knew that it was going to be this revolving wheel and it was going to be this kind of this particular dance routine. And immediately it was just like, okay, well, then that feels like it needs to fit in this kind of slinky sort of burlesque kind of jazz world. And then as the wheel goes down, it goes into the more kind of dance thing. So I'm always inspired by the vision of her and her directors and her creatives for the tours. Coming from a remix background, I do have a weird knack of being able to listen to a song and hear it in about 50 different versions.
what I like what you do on the tours though is you take some of those little moments in a song or in a remix of a song and you bring them to the fore. Like I was so excited when the Chemical Brothers element came into Slow on Aphrodite. I was like, yes, yes, thank you.
What a mix though, man. That remix is still today is extraordinary. And it was tough reimagining it for the for the band and everything like that and everything. But I think we got away with it, hopefully.
Do you have a favorite tour, Steve?
um I do, and it's really funny when I
The
say this.
Enjoy Yourself tour, right?
No, no, well, I love that tour. I mean, I never got to see it, and it was obviously pre me. I mean, the first tour that I worked on as an MD was Intimate and Live, and that was
Yeah.
a baptism of fire because I genuinely had no idea what I was doing. She put so much trust in both myself and William, and we'd never really done that before, and we learned on the job, and we were very grateful. But um, I my favourite tour is the one that's possibly it's the least production involved, but just for a feeling was the Anti tour. Didn't play,
Yay!
didn't play very many nights, but I just
Oh,
loved it. Were you
oh,
there?
I'm so glad. Oh, are you kidding? I've been at every one of her tours for a
So
start. So let's
which
go
Anti
there.
tour? Did you go to the one in Sydney?
I went to Luna Park and I tried to sneak in because she did two that night, and
Yeah,
I was couldn't afford to go to both because they were back to back. And I tried
yeah.
to sneak back in for the second one, couldn't get in. But here's the thing, Steve. Not that this should be about me at all, but I have bemoaned for the longest time that every single show I've been to see, which is all of them, I've never got up close at all, and it hurts if I'm going to be honest that I've never
Mm,
got close. I've always been way up in the rafters. For this one, they opened the Luna Park doors and it literally was just whatever you did. And because I was completely on my own, I ran like you've never believed. And I was pretty much up the front. And it was like, not only was it just brilliant because it's all the stuff that the fans wanted to hear. I can't even tell you, goosebumps thinking about it. But then I was also up close and she looked stunning. She was cool. and we were just surrounded by love, and there was just this little secret business going on in the crowd. This was all tracks that no one else in the whole world would care about except for us, and we knew every word, as you know, probably. We knew every word to every B-side and every leaked track, and I loved the fact that she played the leaked tracks. Sorry, Steve, I'm gushing now, but it was a great memory.
Listen, you can gush all you want about Anti-Tour. I mean, I was obviously there. I was at Luna Park that night, and it was... I don't know if it was at the show you were at. One of the shows, she did a thing where she and I have a massive love of the Muppets, and she did a bit of Rainbow Connection on one of the shows, which was aimed at me, and she did a thing that I'm not known for particularly liking the spotlight, and she sort of purposely kind of pointed me out, which of course was wonderful. But then she sang a bit of Rainbow Connection. But no, I love that tour. And when she did it in London, Pete Waterman was there, and a friend of mine was sat next to Pete, and Pete was just crying his eyes out because he couldn't believe that all these thousands of people knew these songs, these B-sides, and they were singing. It was like, I mean, the same as when you were there. It was like everyone knew all the words, and these songs.
We knew them better than her, Steve. We knew them better than her. She'd slip up, and we'd go, "Hang on a second."
One of my friends described it as like being in a room full of strangers that felt like family.
Yes. Wow. Can I just hear that again? Because that summarized me up. What did he say?
Yeah, my friend said it was like you're in a room full of strangers, but they all felt like family.
Oh, that's got me, because that's what it felt like. It was all these, because Kylie fans are very misunderstood. You can't really, it's not about the coolness factor at all. It's just that people can't quite grip onto why you'd be so obsessed by Kylie. People love Kylie, but to be obsessed, which, I'd admit I am, and a huge, huge fan, people don't get it. So to be in that room of people who are so like-minded was just lovely. Hey, does she hate Word Is Out? She ripped up Word Is Out, or didn't rip it up, but she threw it away.
She did it in London.
Yeah, but she didn't. She did this thing at the end of it, Steve, and she threw the paper away as if she was never going to sing it again. Does she hate that song?
I don't remember that. No, she did it. We did. Do I think Word Is Out we did in London? I think One Boy Girl came out in London.
Oh, yes, that was great.
There was this really weird moment in London where it was... I mean, we did an extensive rehearsal for Anti-Tour in Melbourne, but by the time we got to London, it was just, I think, about 4:00 in the afternoon. She was just like, oh, should we give me just a little more time? And it was already, there was 25 songs, 26 songs on the set list. So she would occasionally just throw something in, and the band would figure it out. But I love it. And also, like, songs like Things Can Only Get Better. What a song.
Yes.
And oh my God, there's so much great stuff in there. There's a song that we wrote for Impossible Princess called You're the One that has never even been released.
All the lasers. Yes, it was so brilliant. Oh my goodness. It was, yes, I'm so glad you chose that as your favorite tour, because that was the most intimate connection I think she's ever had with her fan base.
Every tour's been amazing, and I've enjoyed everyone, but that one had a feel and a warmth. And also it was made in Australia. I rehearsed it in Australia. We were in Melbourne. We came straight to Melbourne after Mardi Gras, and I was in Australia for a long time then, and just staying just off of Chapel Street. And it is just, it was my second home. So I loved it.
And she always sounds great, but I don't know if it's right or if it's just because of the whole feeling of it, but I think she sounded particularly amazing around that time as well. Like even the rehearsal footage behind the scenes, because it was, there was plenty of that. Incredible voice.
I think also there's a very different thing sometimes. I mean, she's always on it, and vocally she's always fantastic. But I think on that, it was just stand and sing. I think sometimes when it's stand, move, change, dance, she's can still do it, and she'll always do it live. And there's not as many people as you think can do it live, but she totally does it live. But when you've only got to concentrate on just singing, then it's much easier.
I'm asking you this question as a fan of Kylie, because you've declared it. You're her biggest fan as well. Do you ever hear other tracks from other artists and think, oh wow, I wish Kylie had that track? Because I'm thinking Toxic. I know she that was the one that got away, but there's plenty of tracks I hear and I go, wow, I wish even a few modern ones at the moment with Mel C, for example. There's a few tracks I often go, oh, that would be perfect for Kylie. I wish she had that. Do you ever do the same?
I think Toxic I don't know. I can't. I don't think Toxic would have been right for her. I think Toxic and Britney is such a great match actually. So I wouldn't have said that
Yeah.
one. I think now I feel that she has such a there's so much of a personality in her writing, that I feel that that's become such a huge part now. I mean, one of my favorite songs of hers was from the last album called Lost Without You, and that
Mm.
just feels like I can't hear anybody else singing it. So I'd say it would be hard for me to pick out anything where I've gone, oh, that would be a really good. So unless it's like something that maybe down the line it would be fun for her to cover, but no, I think she has a pretty good measure of who she is as an artist.
Does she have any unreleased, unheard tracks? I know you referred to White Diamond that were like that you believe would just blow the fans away. I'm not talking about just nice tracks. I'm talking like hits. Does she have any hits that haven't seen the light of day?
Um, it's I don't know really. I know what you're after, but I just think to make an album, um, even now, to get a really concisive 12 to 14 track album, you need to pretty much routine or record or something at least about 80 to 100 songs to get it the best it can possibly be. So
Wow.
so there's always going to be songs that don't quite make it, or may have been right for one thing. There may have been songs that were right for an album, but then the album changes into something else. um,
Mm.
I guess I've been lucky in the fact that certain songs that haven't been right have found their way. I mean, Flower, for instance, that we wrote,
Yeah.
was hanging around for a long time, and we just knew it would find its place, but we never knew. Obviously, Abbey Road wasn't even on the cards then. But the moment that we did Abbey Road, she just said, "Oh, this we've now found a home for Flower." So I think if there's anything that's really really good, it will find its way out somehow.
Steve, I can't let you go unless I ask you a little bit about disco. What do you know about disco? Have you had a hand in it?
I know as much as you do. I seriously do. I
That's a
don't.
good answer. Do I
Yeah,
believe
no,
you?
I know Say Something is one of my favorite Kylie songs of all time already, and I love it.
Yeah.
Um, and I love that it's written with Biff Stannard and John Green, who are great writers, and Kylie recorded all the vocals herself because obviously it's a lockdown thing. So I mean, on the acoustic version, I think that's amazing that she's so cool at doing that. Um, but no, I really don't get in writing wise and stuff. I mean, just really with anyone now, I do a bit, but I don't tend to get involved in the new records. So I genuinely, all I know is that there's an album called Disco, and coronavirus is stopping us doing anything live with it at the moment. So
Yeah, damn it. I
that's
know.
that's my annoyance.
There's a bloke who you probably know, Mark Passotti, I think is how you pronounce. He worked with Kylie on Fever, and
Yeah.
he's got these little samples online. Okay, and he I don't know if you've seen the annoying little videos that he's released. Annoying little man, Mark, you are, because he said, "Look, I'm going to play you two tracks, and I'm not going to tell you who they're from, but they're very disco-esque." I'd love to know if those samples are actually from the disco
Oh,
album,
I don't know
and
that.
I'm
I've not seen that. I mean, genuinely, I'm not lying to you. I don't know. What would normally happen would be at some point there would be a talk of how something is going to be, a live something live, and then that's when I would get looped in. But obviously, that isn't going to happen for quite some time.
I'm being very mean. I feel like poor Steve Anderson's up against the wall, and there's a psychotic Kylie fan with his finger in his
No,
chest.
you
I'm
just
sorry, Steve. I'm horrible.
as far as the news, I mean, all the stuff that's been and gone, I can talk about, but anything that's coming is very much, I know that the single's out. I love the single. I think it's had a great reaction, and it's beautiful. And the sentiment of the single, even though it was written before this year, I mean, could not be more poignant than it is for this year. So
I know. How
can't wait
strange is that,
to
right?
get in. Yeah, I can't wait
Because
to do something with it for live at some point. Maybe next year, hopefully.
yeah, you're hoping to get your hands on it. Amazing. It was written before COVID, was even a thing, and it's just so
Yeah.
timely. You've been so generous with your time, Steve, but I do want to ask, Lucky for Kylie Minogue musical. I mean, I've been hearing about this since 2012. Is that project just done and dusted, or has it gone away? Is it progressing? What's the
No,
story with that?
we workshopped a lot on it, and as with all these things, particularly with West End and Broadway, if you look into the history of a lot of these kind of shows, you'll see that they sometimes take between 10 and 15 years, because it's such a huge investment for the people putting them on. When you put a show like this on, it has to stay on. It's got to kind of make its money back. So it needs to be there for good. So it needs to be good. It needs to be the best it can be. And I think we got to a place where we were close, but it wasn't quite there. So I think they're taking a breather, and it's all about the book and the writing and getting it right. So it's not finished for sure. I just think it's kind of on hold whilst they're working on various elements of it. I loved working on it, and I hope to work on it again.
So it's a musical in the style of it will have a story and be, interthread with Kylie's music. It's not a story about her life or anything like that, right?
It could, at the moment, I mean, it could be anything, because it was going to be one thing and then it might be something else. I know from working on West End shows myself, on other West End shows, again, so many things can change. So 1 minute it could be one thing, and then the next minute a treatment will come up that everyone will love, and then it will be that. So,
right.
But I do know that it won't be until it's been signed off by everybody as being, oh my God, this is so perfect, then it won't see the light of day. It's one of the biggest things to get right, because it's got to live somewhere for a good few years for 8 shows a week.
So that's a bit of a watch this space. Still, it's an intriguing idea, though, I've got to say. Kylie fans are like, wow, that is interesting. And I know she's a big fan of Mamma Mia and musicals in general, so it's not surprising. And she's got such a back catalogue, so why not, I say?
Exactly. And the songs, there's so much in the songs as well that, the lyrics, there's so much you can do with the lyrics that with the story. So it's exciting. It will, there's time. There's plenty of time.
There's plenty of time. Exactly right. Final question, Steve, and I do apologise for gushing so much tonight and putting you in the corner and probing you so much, but I'm going to ask you the most inane question ever to round this conversation off. Put yourself in my place. I know you didn't write that, but you've certainly worked with this music for a lot of years. Is it Circle Won't Come Around, or is it Summer Won't Come Around? Can you solve a lifelong battle between Kylie fans?
Circle. It's always I've never heard
it's the other. It's always been Circle, hasn't it?
Yeah. Summer. I don't think I've heard Summer before.
What a dumb question.
That's the one I know. That actually takes us back. That actually weirdly takes us back to '94, where we started, where there's a piano vocal version of Put Yourself in My Place that we recorded at Psalm in one take that ended up on, I think.
I love that, because that's on Hits Plus, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on Hits Plus, and it's one of the only time, I think the only time that there's some footage somewhere of her and I on an MTV show just doing an acoustic thing, and I'm not a natural live performer. I'm very much behind the scenes, but I think we did that version on there. But I love that song. What an incredible song, Put Yourself in My Place. So good.
It's so fantastic. It's a brilliant song. But yeah, you'll be surprised how many people are convinced it's Summer Won't Come Around. It's like Michael Jackson.
I might be wrong. I'm not the authority. There's a lot of people. There's many more people that know a lot more about her than I do. So, but I've always heard Circle.
Yeah, it's funny. Michael Jackson has so many songs where you can't quite catch what he's saying, and that's one of the few Kylie songs where it's like, well, it could be both. If you listen to it over and over, you start going mad.
I'm pretty sure it's Circle.
We'll go with that, I reckon, Steve. Steve, you're such a gentle soul. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I started by saying this, and I truly mean it. You've given me so much joy. Thank God for the music and the remixes and the tours and all the work you've done, because without it, I don't know what my life would have been like. You've just filled it with joy and happiness and hope. So thank you so much.
Well, that's incredibly kind of you. Thank you. It's been really lovely talking to you, and it's great to hear fans of an artist that I've been so privileged and lucky to work with, and I'm still a fan of. That's the whole thing. I think what the thing about Kylie is that she keeps fans. You're a Kylie fan for life. You don't no one falls off. Everyone's with her forever, and I think that says a lot about her as a person.
She's as loyal to us as we are to her, though, I've got to say. Exactly. Steve Anderson, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.